Everywhere you go, from bus stations, cafes, tramways, you will find people attached to their phones and looking like zombies because their brain is so tired and overwhelmed from the content overload and the stimulation, to the point that there are some people, that you might be one of them, who whenever they speak to someone, they are having one of their AirPods on because they need that stimulation and they find it hard to break off from their phones, and this is badly influencing their focus. As a Gen Z university student, I notice a lot of my classmates suffering from the inability to focus in class because they can't spend 10 minutes without checking their phones and scrolling, and whenever there is some small silence going on in class, the first thing they do is grab their phones and check their notifications. And because of this brain rot era that we live in, people don't have the patience anymore to start learning something that might be beneficial for them or have the focus to work on their goals. They just consume content without being selective about what they consume and pay attention to it, and they become passive people who are waiting for things to come to them and sit on their lap, and they always feel this sense of emptiness, and they think that if they consume more it will go away, but it won't. And if you struggle with brain rot, this video is for you because I will share some advice on how to cure your brain rot and get your spark back and learn to live rather than just exist. The first advice that I want to give is to reduce the amount of time you use your phone while doing something. There is this huge habit that is being normalized, which is listening to a podcast or music while cooking or exercising or going for a walk or being on a bus to go to work or school, because people are afraid of silence. They can't stand being bored for 10 minutes, 30 minutes while doing something. They need stimulation to be able to get through the task. And even I remember this meme that I saw 2 years ago or something like this, of a person being in a hospital having the oxygen mask over their nose because they did not watch YouTube while eating their food. And when you see this meme, it is funny, but when you think about it, it is so dangerous that we got to a place where we can't do something without our phones. We can't have those moments of silence where you let your brain breathe from content and stimulation and let it wander for a bit and reflect on your life and come up with ideas and analyze information. We have this area in our brain that gets activated when we're not doing anything, and it is called the brain default mode. And this area of our brain is responsible of daydreaming, reflecting on and recalling past memories and processing language. That is why when you are in a shower, you get ideas and solutions to some of your problems. It is so important to give our brain a break from content that is just there as a background noise and embrace the silence and learn to exist in the moment and appreciate it and notice things you would not have noticed if you were listening to something, and think about a particular subject and ask yourself, why do I agree or disagree with this? Is there some area of this subject that I need to learn more about? And even train your brain to come up with creative ideas that you can work on. For example, when I was reading Steve Jobs' memoir, there was this section of the book that was talking about how Steve Jobs used to have moments of silence in his house or while walking around because he understood the importance of letting your brain relax and step back from everything in order to have a fresh perspective about something and come up with solutions to some of the problems that are bothering you. Sometimes you know what you need to do, and you don't need someone to tell you and give you the solution to your problem. But because of your refusal to embrace the silence and give your brain the space to think without any background noise, you don't notice those solutions. I hate this approach to productivity that we see online, where these productivity gurus always tell you to listen to some educational podcasts while cooking or cleaning or walking around so that time will not be wasted and you have to maximize each minute of your day. And let me tell you something, you will not retain what you learned from that podcast because simply there were some parts of the podcast that were important and you were not able to focus on them because you were doing two things at once. Don't consume content just for the sake to consume content and the market it as finished, to have that relief you did not miss out on anything, and to not have that guilt that you wasted that time without listening to something educational. And you have the illusion that you learned something new, but actually you just become this kind of person who just collects information without analyzing it. And the same thing goes for fun podcasts. Personally, I think if you're gonna listen to a fun podcast and just have it there as a background noise and not retain anything from what the hosts talked about, I don't see why would you turn it on. Honestly, you did not have fun. You did not laugh. So what is the point? Start prioritizing quality over quantity. If you can't focus at least 80% while watching an educational video and take notes, don't watch it because you will not learn anything. It is better to consume less content and be intentional and selective about it because you start appreciating it more, because you give yourself the time to let the content sink in and you reflect on it to come up with conclusions or questions which triggers your curiosity to learn more about something or learn something that will completely change your life, or simply just having fun. And I know it is so boring to exercise or cook or eat without listening to something, but you will get used to it. And with time, you will start appreciating it and crave these moments more because you will see the difference it will make in your creativity, in your ability to focus and notice solutions to your problems. Also, something else that you can do when you are in a cafe or a park or in a bus, you can play this fun game with yourself where you look at people around you and you analyze them based on their clothes and their body language and try to imagine what kind of lifestyle they have, what they like, what they don't like instead of scrolling. When you give your brain the space to be bored, it starts coming up with creative ideas that will help you to get out from that state of boredom without having to use your phone. The next advice is to start having hobbies in order to replace the bad habit of scrolling and the high stimulation that it gives you with the hobby that is less stimulating, and it teaches you to be more present in the moment because it will help to reset your dopamine levels, and also it will help you to reconnect with yourself and get your focus back and to shift from being a passive consumer who wants everything to come to them and accepting whatever they are watching or coming their way without analyzing it, to becoming an active person who tries to use their brain to make something by paying more attention to your environment, to use it as a source of inspiration and learn to find connection between things, and also to ditch this mindset and desire for convenience because we live in a world where technology is improving really fast and it made our lives so much easier, and sometimes it is a good thing that we have these technologies, but sometimes it is not because it made us addicted to convenience and wanting everything to come to us immediately and effortlessly, and as a result we became so impatient when something does not happen fast. And it is even worse with social media. When you scroll for so much, it makes you addicted to convenience and it destroys your perception of reality because you start believing and desiring to achieve things faster. But when you start hobbies and you get confronted with the reality that things take time, not everything can happen fast, and you need to learn to appreciate the process. For example, lately I started learning how to draw, and at the beginning I was so annoyed and restless at the fact that I had to practice drawing lines and shapes using my wrist and elbow and shoulder because I was like, I know these things. It is dumb. Why do I have to practice it? And at the beginning, I was bored doing it, and I wanted to start drawing real and more exciting things. But now, the more I am doing it, the more I am enjoying it, and I am learning so much from it. And it is teaching me to be more present in the moment because I am learning to break down objects into simple shapes and also to learn to not pressure myself into having to make a masterpiece every time I decide to draw. I can just draw shapes and let my brain draw weird things. One of the beauties of starting hobbies is that the more you do it and you get used to it, you start having an ick every time you think about doom scrolling because you start telling yourself, I don't want to be scrolling the whole day and feeling tired and overwhelmed afterwards. It's so disgusting. I prefer to do my hobbies instead to get that joy from it. You literally start looking forward to doing your hobbies because you get addicted to it and you feel weird if you don't do them. And you slowly start feeling alienated from the old version of you who used to doom scroll because you're like, I can't believe that I used to doom scroll. What was going on my mind when I was doing that? I don't recognize that version of me at all. And after becoming comfortable with this, you can start doing 24 hours without your phone challenge once a month or a week. It depends on you. And obviously, in this challenge, you break off from all your devices and you fill your day with activities. And you give your body and brain rest from your phone. And at the beginning, it will be hard and you will feel restless, but with practice and time, you will get used to it and you will start actually finding joy in breaking off from your phone. And during those challenges, you will realize how time goes so much slower when you're not using your phone or any technology device. So, if you lately have been feeling that life is moving really fast and you can't catch up to it, and you just want to slow down, turn off your phone for 24 hours. And another thing that you can try is doing the uncomfortable things that you usually avoid by scrolling in order to learn to be an active person who tries to find solutions to their problems and face them and taking control over their life instead of turning off your brain and choosing the easiest solution, which is escaping through scrolling. Try to make a list of all the uncomfortable things that you avoid, like talking to people or sitting alone in a restaurant, whatever it is, and do it. And don't use your phone. And if you are someone who is listening to this and you are hesitating to apply this advice because you believe you can't do it or you are scared to do it, try to switch your mindset from I can't do it and I need my phone to I respect myself enough that I'm not gonna waste my precious time scrolling and not working on my goals, and I don't want to put myself in a future situation where I will regret not having experiences that I will look back at. Because all what I was doing is scrolling, and I respect myself enough that I believe that I can break off from my phone and social media addiction. Look at all of the things that triggers you going to your phone and scrolling and try to eliminate all of these triggers, because if you keep these triggers you will not break off from social media. So look at all of these triggers and try to hide them and make it hard to scroll and get on your phone. I hope you guys found this helpful, and if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I would love to know your opinions about brain rot. And also, if you have any other tips that I did not mention in this video and that can help others, please feel free to share them in the comment section. And if you love this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel because it will help YouTube algorithm to push this video.